Hello, welcome to my backyard patio. I'm going to show you a way that you can have the fresh vegetables from a garden taste right on your back door, right on your backyard patio. There are several things that you will need in order to make this project successful, and the first and foremost is the sun. Growing vegetables need adequate sunlight, and that means 6 to 8 hours of direct sunlight in a day. The next thing that you'll need to consider is a pot that you grow it in. The pots need to be at least 10 to 12 inches to up to 18 inches. Actually, the bigger the better is our motto. Don't use terracotta pots because they tend to collect heat and will dry out your plants. Also, a light colored pot is good for hot climates. Adequate drainage is very important as well. Either one big hole at the bottom or 4-inch holes. If your pot does not have holes, you can drill them in there, but that is very important that all holes or all pots have the drainage. Your next thing that you will need is an adequate potting mix. As you see, Miracle-Gro potting mix is fabulous as it feeds your plants up to 6 months, and it also has powerful nutrients for hardy, vigorous container growing. Also, one thing that you will need is, let's see, back to my notes. We talked about sun, the soil, fertilizer. You'll want to have this. I always start my plants with a Miracle-Gro for vegetables mixed in with the water, and then once they start taking off, about every 2 weeks, you'll continue to feed them according to the package directions. And the next thing, of course, that you need is your plants. I'm going to show you three different things today. I'm going to plant cucumbers from seed into this pot. Cucumbers need about 18 to 20 inches. Bigger the better. I'm going to plant cucumbers over here, and on this one, in this pot over here, I will plant some peppers, and over here I have tomatoes. And when I plant my tomatoes, I'm going to be sure to use a tomato cage like this. When I do my cucumbers, I'm going to turn this upside down so they can trail up, and then I will attach maybe even further wires or something so that can keep trailing up to the top. To get started, for my cucumbers, I am going to grab my seeds, and for cucumbers you'll want to create a little mound, and as a rule of thumb, you don't want to overdo it. 3 to 5 seeds per hill is adequate. I always do 5 just in case a couple of them don't take off. You'll plant those, cover them just a little bit of soil, and then you'll water them. I will not water these until I get this to the final resting spot, because these plants will be heavy, so wherever you set them and create them, you'll need to make sure that that's where they're going to stay, or you'll need to put them on something that's movable, because when a plant is watered down, it is heavy. My next thing that I will show you how to do is to plant tomatoes. To plant tomatoes, all you need to do, and you see the only tool that I need is a simple spoon from the inside. I'm going to plant 2 tomatoes right here. So I'm just going to dig my holes, grab my little seedlings, and as a rule of thumb with tomatoes, I've always pinched off the first couple of sprouts that you see, and you'll plant your tomato down to about halfway, because all those little tiny hairs on there that you see from a tomato, those are will actually be roots. So plant that about halfway down. I'll put my cage in, making sure not to get my tiny little tomatoes I just planted. And then I will water. Make sure that you don't I have a container, a watering container that I have, but I can't find it, so I will make sure I get one of those. You water those adequately, let it drain, come back, rewater again. Next I will come over here and plant my bell peppers. You want to make sure that when you're getting varieties of tomatoes and cucumbers, you get something that is going to be able to be a compact plant, not one that's going to want to travel. Space Master cucumber is a great one. Celebrity tomatoes are also a great brand. It's a great one to get. Basically, you can grow any kind of vegetable in a container. I mean, you wouldn't want to grow watermelons unless you have adequate space for them to travel. But you can grow many different vegetables. I wrote down some varieties that were easy, from peas to potatoes, tomatoes, cucumbers, squash, carrot, radish, eggplant, peppers. And ideally, once my cucumbers sprout up, I'll take the 2 healthiest sprouts and leave the rest. And for my tomatoes, I'm just going to keep watering them. Daily I'll check them. Once a week you want to give them a good deep water. And make sure that your drainage holes are functioning. If you let the water sit at the base of your plants too long, your roots will get waterlogged, and essentially that will not produce a good yield. Also, one thing to remember is when your plants do start producing, you'll need to pick your fruits, your veggies, because that will also enable the plant to produce for much longer, and your vegetables will be bigger and nicer and juicier. So remember to have a vegetable garden in containers. You don't need to have a vegetable garden. You don't need a garden. You can plant them in containers and have a salad at your doorstep every night of the week without the hassle of weeds, critters, animals eating your leafy vegetables. It's all maintained easily. One thing I do want to really advise is that you check your plants for water every day. By rule of thumb, if you stick your finger in and it's dry, it needs to be watered. Especially during the hot months, you may need to water your plants at least twice a day. I'll water my plants in the morning before I go to work, and by the time I get home, I'll check them again. And make sure that you keep them watered, and you'll have a healthy garden in containers. Thank you. Have a good day.